Welcome to the Death Doula Duo. I'm Jennifer O'Neill.
And I'm Sarah Kovash.
And this is where we explore the profound mysteries of life and all things death.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. On today's episode, we are talking to Emery. And while I wanted to say that she was a mortician, that is actually not accurate. So I am going to pass it off to her and let her tell us what she does.
Hi,
Emery?
So I'm actually an embalmer, so I actually do the preparations for everyone's loved one.
So do you remember when that phrase or that title changed from mortician to embalmer? Were you ever in the industry when that happened?
No, I wasn't in the industry when that happened.
But it did get changed, right? That's not what they call it anymore. Isn't that what you said earlier?
Most people usually just say you're funeral director. So I think most of the public is knowing that as a funeral director.
Okay. And so most funeral directors are also embalmers, or?
If they chose to get licensed for both things, you can either be a licensed embalmer or you can be a licensed funeral director. It's really up to your choice of what you feel led to do.
So if you want to get both licenses, it's
correct.
Okay.
Which is better to be licensed in both. So, you can kind of flow in the industry and, find a job.
So do most people end up doing both, or do they end up needing to specialize in one avenue if they can do both?
I feel like it would be in a person's best interest to go ahead and get licensed for both, to be a embalmer and a director. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. Some people prefer to just be on the director side and deal one-on-one with the families, and some people prefer to kind of be in the back shadows and just, do what they're led to do. And
so one of them, so they really have some big differences as far as that kind of thing goes, the being behind the curtain versus being
correct
up ahead in the front of things. I see.
So before we get to the serious stuff, can you tell us one thing about your job that would surprise most people?
That's a great question. I'm curious.
It's not as scary as people make it out to be.
I think that's a great answer. I mean, and that kind of leads into the questions of, what do you do on a daily basis, and how is that? It's probably normal for you, just like most people's jobs are. Like, I work in surgery. Most people tell me that they couldn't do that because of, it's too much blood or this, that, and the other. And,
So what I do is I take care of the preparation of a loved one. I do the embalming part of that. So I introduce the chemicals. We do bathing, dressing, casketing, cosmetizing.
When you say cosmetizing, does that mean putting the makeup on?
Putting makeup on.
Making them look more
presentable.
With color.
Coloring any discolorations, bruising, anything that, It's helpful if a family brings a photo in to your funeral director. And
I wonder if they did that with my grandfather, because he looked really strange.
Well, and I guess there's a variety of, like, do you think it's specific to how the person died and them, or is it specific to the artistry and what you do as to how people end up looking?
That's a good question. That's a really good
I
question.
really feel like that plays a factor. Both things play a factor in that, because, it depends on how the person lived their life, medications, different things, how the person died.
So what do you feel like is one of the most challenging things that you deal with?
Children.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I don't know why we don't even, when we think of somebody getting embalmed, a child doesn't even come to
I think in my
mind.
industry, I know I have probably held more sleeping babies than live ones. So, yeah, that's challenging.
And you probably can't say no to.
No, I don't, because I'm a mom. So I want to give that same love that I would expect somebody to do for my child.
That's beautiful.
Which sounds like one of the rewards you get from
I think so.
And then are there other things that you...
Obviously, like traumatic cases and suicides are difficult when they come in.
I can imagine that would be really difficult. It's difficult for any of the survivors. And I can't imagine having to witness the aftermath of some of those circumstances.
So do you feel that you've processed grief as a part of your job?
I feel like for me personally, I think it kind of numbs you. You become very numb to emotions.
I think that makes sense.
For me personally.
I mean,
it's kind of like that in the medical field. I mean, you have to numb yourself to some of that stuff, right?
Well, and that's kind of what I was going to relate it to, because even just working in surgery, I mean, the patient is draped. You only see the part of the body that you're operating on. And granted, I'm not a physician, but even just being in the room daily as a nurse, the patient is medicated and we detach from it's not like if I was having surgery, then I would be going through a whole other spectrum of emotions and things like that.
Or even if a loved one of yours was having.
Right. A totally different side of the coin. Yeah.
Becomes a job.
Yeah. I can see that.
And it's normal.
You have to separate yourself
in order to survive.
In order to do the job at hand, you have to separate yourself. You can't be an emotional wreck and then be expected to help someone else that needs you in that time of need.
It's the same concept with being a death doula. It's actually one of the things that I found, one of the things I found myself a little concerned with, because I'm easy to cry. I mean, it really doesn't take much, 1 or 2 tears from another person can bring me to tears. So it's something I've had to work on. But I think I can relate to that, as well as the need to separate and detach.
So what made you want to do this as a profession?
Yeah, I would love to
when I was younger, I worked in the hospice industry, so I really enjoyed being there to help families. And I knew it was something I personally could do on an emotional level. It's not for everybody.
What was the training like?
So I went to school at UCO and I trained at the facility that I actually currently work with. I had an embalmer who was in charge of me. I was his apprentice, and so he showed me the ropes, and then I learned from other embalmers in the industry.
So do you get a call, or do you just go to work every day?
I just go to work every day. It's a shift work where I work, so
whoever's there is the one that gets the call.
Correct. Yeah.
One of the questions I was going to ask is, do you actually ever deal with the family personally?
I only personally deal with the family if I go to a facility where their loved one has passed away, either their home, a nursing home, a hospital, and the family's there, and then I will speak with them there. I may never see a family again, which is a pro and a con to that. Sometimes I would like to kind of see, but I just kind of stay in the back in the shadows.
I don't know why I'm finding so many similarities with this with surgery nursing, because I mean, I just deal with them while they're in surgery. I don't get to see the before and the after.
And that's, and that's kind of like, I wanted to do this in a way where it just didn't sound so like chop shoppy or kind of just, oh, we're in the back in a room just preparing your person and there they go. Because it isn't really like that, everybody's very respectful, and
it sounds like a ministry. And, like you mentioned with taking care of people and giving love and honor and respect to the life. I did want to go back to a previous rabbit hole, though. Have you ever had a spiritual experience regarding preparing a body?
I personally haven't had any spiritual experiences happen to me. And I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I've never personally had anything. I know other people that have mentioned seeing things, maybe shadows or things like that, but I haven't.
So you mentioned earlier that it's a struggle to date. that people don't want to
No,
when they find out what you
people
do?
are so fearful of death, and they think that you carry spirits on you. And I don't personally feel like that's true, but everybody has different beliefs and grieves in a different way, and I don't judge for that. I'm
Have you
very
always
open.
lived in Oklahoma?
I have.
Okay. The reason I ask is just to see if there was maybe a difference depending on what area you're in. So maybe, this move will give you some
Yeah,
insight
maybe.
into that area of the country.
So have you seen things in the industry change over time and evolve? And
I think over time in the industry, cremation rates are really high. I think it's definitely more cost of,
Sure. Yeah.
the cost is definitely way cheaper than a traditional service.
well, in some cultures, I think will do both of preparing the body for visitation as well as then cremate, which to me, want to be efficient and everything. And I'm like, why do both? But I know that's very cultural for some people. So you don't necessarily always know if this person's going to end up being cremated.
No, the family will let the funeral director know what preparations they want to have done to their loved one, and then we just go from there. So either be a cremation or a traditional service, which involves an embalming.
So you don't handle any of the cases that are going to go to the crematory?
We do cremations where I work, yes. So
Do you do that also?
I have done cremations, yes. I don't currently do them, but yes, I have done them.
What is one of your favorite things about your job, or do you feel like you want to do this for the rest of your life, or is it like a first career?
Personally do not want to do this for the rest of my life. They used to say if you could get by with your first 5 years, you'd be good to go. You cannot make money in the funeral industry. To make a living for your household, you have to really love the industry to stay doing this until retirement.
So there's no like career ladder opportunities.
Not unless you want to go into like management and go into a corporation and things like that, or own your own funeral home.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
And even so, when you go into owning your own funeral home, you're going to run into a lot of liabilities and insurance policies that you have to have, and you need to have a clientele built up. It's very hard to start from the ground up if you don't buy something already established.
I would think the cost just and all the equipment would be a lot.
It's very expensive.
For your time doing this, what's been like your greatest, I don't know, aha moment, or like one of your favorite things about it?
I think for me, my favorite thing about being into the industry is I have definitely learned a lot on the science side of it. I've learned a lot about human behavior. It's very sad.
Like about what aspect of it?
People are very cruel. They do a lot of cruel things out in the world.
So
you're seeing the results of that kind of,
whether it be a murder or a suicide or things like that.
Mm-hmm. Abuse cases.
Oh goodness, yeah.
That would be really hard. Well, and even just what we were talking about, which we can relate as death doulas, is just people's fear of death, and that's a whole other kind of epiphany. But yeah. So I just really want to know what would be your favorite movie or show that you've seen regarding dead people.
I cannot remember the name of it. It has Jack Black in it. It's funny,
and
though.
it's about death.
Yeah, he's a funeral director.
Oh,
it's hilarious.
Okay. Jack
Everyone
Black
should
is a
watch
funeral
it.
director.
So
we're doing a quick Google search right now.
So while she's looking that up, I'm just going to say mine is
Bernie.
Bernie, yes. Everyone should watch Bernie. It's funny.
Okay. Interesting.
But that's not the guy at the beach, right?
No, that's
Okay.
that's the dead guy.
I thought it said
That's
something
like the
about
vacation
Bernie.
at Bernie or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, well.
So what's your favorite show or movie, Jen?
Mine is 6 Feet Under, which may be to you like Grey's Anatomy is to me with the surgery.
Yeah, I watched
but
6 Feet Under.
did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just loved it because, I mean, it was...
That's actually a good show to watch.
It's a great show. I mean, about life and death, and they often have like spiritual experiences during the embalming process. But
this shows a little in that show too, in different episodes, the interaction with families and how emotions can be really high.
Yeah.
People doing crazy things.
right, and it always shows a crazy death.
Mine was a show called Dead Like Me.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that? She
I saw
was
like
dead.
one episode,
and
I think.
She was friends with death.
Is that Christina Applegate?
No.
Okay. Dead Like Me. I'll
Dead
have
Like
to look
Me.
that up.
It's an interesting show. It's older.
Well, thank you so much, Emery, for enlightening us on this industry that we are so, I mean, I think it's just shrouded to be, you know.
Now I'm curious what to title it. So it's not going to be discussions with a mortician. It's going to be discussions with an embalmer.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being here and sharing your experience and yeah, stay tuned for our next episode where we go deep into life and death.
The profundities of life and death.
All right.
Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us as we journey through life's most enigmatic reality. I'm Jennifer O'Neill.
And I'm Sarah Kovash.
And we are
The Death Doula Duo.
The Death Doula Duo is brought to you by the Possibilities Podcast platform.
If you have comments, suggestions, or would like to be on the show, please email us at thedeathdouladuo@gmail.com. Until next time, may all your discussions about death be lively.